Hey, Bridget. Hey, Pav. Thanks for coming onto my podcast. I'm really excited because we've been talking about doing this for a while, and it's finally happening. Like late at night, but I'm glad it's happening. The theme is like hosting elaborately, like better parties, experience design, LARPing. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, but like from my experience, I've been interested in like hosting more interesting and intentional parties for a while. I've explored that through a few different avenues, including like more aesthetic, like throwing almost like you're directing a film or something. But yeah, I'll pass it off to you, Bridget.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Bridget, and I started hosting parties 2-ish years ago, a little more, 2.5. And it started off with sort of like experimental parties that were very structured and sort of organized around a particular theme or type of activity. And then I got introduced to this sort of identity play, character work process through Tyler, our friend, who's also involved in the fractal community. And then it was sort of off to the races when it came to LARPing and immersive theater. Like we did this whole really elaborate character LARP, and then it sort of kicked off a frenzy in my life of creating many LARPs, mainly with my partner Hart. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh,
Pav?
Yeah. So my flirtation with events started 3 years ago. I think I just love the idea of just bringing my own aesthetic and view and philosophy and just having people soak in it for some amount of time. So from the beginning, like my OG events had like themes. So I'd have like dinner parties with reflective themes. And from there, I feel like that thread has evolved into different kinds of spiritual events. And now I started hosting like a regular-ish, but series called Brookian. So like spiritual events for women that are like very maximalist in execution. And I feel like I've also explored a lot of my theatrical side, Bridget's been to my party, Festival of Fools, which had a three-part arc and a live musician from Juilliard. So, I've had my maximalist like themed parties as well. Um, and then I think my other kind of side to me in my event hosting is like my HCI side. So that's the side of me that really likes how computers work with people and what people can learn when they interact. On the most recent experiment, I hosted with my friend Liam Duffy, where we basically crossed the world of Twitter and real life and had like people tweeting in one room, people discussing in a different room, and discourse like passing both ways. Which I think the people that got into it were very into it. So yeah, I really just enjoy like kind of breaking like frames in general and just seeing like I guess pushing the medium or something to where it can go. I find that very interesting. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and I realize I'll give a little spiel of my arc too. I actually began hosting like I don't know, probably 4 years ago by now. But it began with book clubs. So for me, it was like I was on Twitter and I wanted to read certain books, and a lot of my mutuals were also reading these like niche books I was into. And then the book clubs turned into picnics. And that turned into larger experimental parties, similar to what you guys are describing. But I called them experimental art parties, and they were my attempt to create a sort of gathering that was like part music jam, part like art museum, part creative studio. And I really wanted a sense of like collective creation. So, or like co-creation. So, we would have um people create like flower chandeliers. They bring a flower and they put it up and make a chandelier, or there'll be like this group mural, and there's all these little on ramps that led into different kinds of like thought experiments. Um, And I think I've had different iterations of that, including with both of you. So we've collaborated on some fun parties. So I guess this also leads into like, what is your inspiration? How did you get in? Like, who inspires you? And then do you have like any favorite parties that either you've thrown or like people have thrown? Yeah.
Well, I will talk about how I got in. Like the first party I ever threw was it was called the Poll Party, Poll. And it started with actually Tyler's birthday party that year, which was a wish fulfillment party. So he sent out this like big Google sheet beforehand, and everyone signed up for a time slot for like a small amount of time in which they could get the group of people to do anything that they wanted them to do. And I love this idea so much. And I had been wanting to run an event similar to a different event that I had attended that was at Vibe Camp, which involved basically presenting binaries and having people run to a side of the room based on which side they chose. So I basically did this with my time at Tyler's Wish Fulfillment Party, and everyone had such a great time. And I had such a great time that I was like, I want to blow this up into a whole event. So I designed like a 3-part arc for the night where we started out with a certain type of this polling thing, and then it was like kind of a spectrum style of polling where I would say um like based on how many countries you've traveled to, like if you think you're on the lower end of the spectrum as compared to the rest of these people, go here, and if you think you're on the high end, go here. And then everyone would sort themselves, and then they would say what their actual number was, and then people would resort and kind of see where it landed at the end. So that was one part, and then the other part was like the binaries, like do you like cats or dogs? Cats here, dogs there. And then the third part was like run to the person in the room who you think is most likely to be a foreign spy, and then everyone would have to touch that person, and then so you could kind of see it like laid out as like a clusters. So that was really fun. People came up to me afterward and told me that that was the best party they've ever been to. And that like feedback really helps me feel encouraged and excited to host more parties. So I started hosting more experimental parties from there. I still think that first one went great, and people are still telling me about it even now. Um, and then as things have gotten more theatrical, this is yeah, it's hard to talk about because I've hosted so many parties, but maybe one of you guys can share it. I can stop talking for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I can say a little bit about what my intro and what inspires me. Yeah, I feel like what inspires me is different based on the party. Overall, though, like I would say I have to feel very like, I guess, excited, right? Like that. I think that's like
Yeah.
the starting condition. But what can excite me is like I think group creation. Like some of my first events was around when I was really trying to tap into my like creative side and like free expression across a bunch of mediums, from video to writing to just, visual art, collage, whatever. So I just hosted a series of events around those themes, like very spur of the moment. Um, I hosted like an art-a-thon, and I just like got people to bring a bunch of art materials, and it was like, I don't know, I think like 16 or 20 people showed up on like a Saturday morning. Um, and I got great feedback, and like I barely did anything, right? Like I just like created the container for it. And then another similar event I hosted was Lego Wood. So I met this guy that just travels, and everywhere he travels, he brings a gigantic bag of Legos. So we were talking, and we were like, we should just host an event before you leave New York. And we designed an event where like the first part of it was like a meditation on spring. So everyone had like Lego pieces and had to like make something that based on the theme of spring. And so everyone was doing their thing. It was really cute. I made like a tree. And then part two was basically like we pre-decided a plot. So like the plot was like alien invasion. And so we had like them split into groups and make different things like a cow or a barn or like something else. And at the very end, we just filmed a skit, like one take, like we filmed this skit of like this animation. Actually, like was hysterical. It was great. Um, yeah, and I think those early events kind of just made me be like, um, realize just like how much people like really want these containers to like be
Mm.
super playful with others and be super whimsical, and how like there's just so like in a lot of ways like as an event host it's like you kind of don't need to do so much, right? There's such a spectrum in how much you need to try, but I think at the end of the day like I just love creating containers where like people feel more alive or like get to tap into a part of themselves they don't see, or like um just have fun. Like you guys know I often just host normal parties, but I'll have a theme. And like people love dressing up. This is why I keep hosting theme parties, because people actually dress up. Like they dress up as an element, they've dressed up as flowers, they've dressed up as aliens, as you know. So I really enjoy seeing people like tap into this like state from themselves. Yeah.
Nice. I love hearing like the parties from your past because I haven't been to like
Yeah.
all the different parties you guys have hosted, and so it's cool to hear some of the things that have come up. Um, my favorite party, so I was okay. The reason why I think I always wanted to host. I'm also curious if you guys ever had any like reservations or like trepidation around hosting, but I generally always wanted to host like book clubs and film nights and things like that. But then I think I was especially inspired by the happenings movement. It's like a 1960s art movement that inspired like performance art, but it's this like based in New York, mostly inspired by Alan Crackle, but Capro. But it's like these transient happenings, and they're often nonsensical, and they're things like 40 people like crawl across a room full of tires, or like you walk into a room and there's a loft and there's like sizzling like banana slices, and you go up the ladder and someone feeds you, and it's like almost like this absurd surreal slice of reality that happens, and it's a very sensory happening, and it's very hard to describe, and usually there's no like documentation, but it feels like for a moment you were transported into somewhere else, and like all of these things were spontaneously occurring. And I was really inspired by this. I also was a big fan of like Marina Abramovic, performance artist, and her work, and so that's what inspired me to get into like more like elaborate hosting. um and then I also felt really dissatisfied with like there's all these parties that I'm going to. I'm not having like good conversations. I don't feel like it's nearly as alive as it could be. Um, like I even like I had beef with like art museums sometimes. I would feel like, oh, they're so sterile. Like there's all these paintings and these like I don't know. I wanted to see like the artists like dancing and singing and creating art, and I wanted the feeling of all of us like living together. And yeah, I want to like break through that. And so I that was part of like the inspiration for the parties. But yeah, my favorite party, I don't know. I really liked the one we threw last summer, Bridget, the Birds and the Bees with James, just because I didn't expect it to go well. It just went really well. It was like Birds and the Bees, and right off the start, I was like, "Oh, this name is too like I don't know, horny,
Suggestive.
flippy, or something." Yeah. And then I was like, Bridget, let's make a cake. And you like baked a cake last minute, and we had champagne and flowers, and it just felt like this very spontaneous party. And James kind of brought out this like big tarot performance that I wasn't expecting, and we blessed everyone, and it was like uh it felt like a happening, you know. And then yeah, I guess my friends and I did a much more elaborate happening in LA that was choreographed and involved creating an ice sculpture over a metal grating stood up on these like concrete blocks that then dripped. You would pour soju. We did like a grief ritual, a letting go ritual, and like you would pour one out. So you would take this soju and pour it, and it would like drip it would like pool on the ice sculpture, and the ice sculpture would like drip onto the hot plate at the bottom and would sizzle. And so there's like a very musical experience, and there's a lot more to it, but yeah, I enjoyed having like a choreographed ritual, and afterwards everyone felt like they had experienced something. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have questions, but I also want it to feel like we're just asking each other and having like a discussion. I don't know if this is like pulling anything up for you guys.
Yeah, well, I realized that I kind of like forgot to talk about my inspirations because I got too into describing the whole party because I was like remembering how fun it was. But
Yeah.
I guess like I'm inspired by people in our community that have hosted strange parties, like particularly Tyler, of course,
Mhm.
and also Alice, who wrote the LARP Field
Definitely
and Follow
Alice.
that really like blew my mind and changed my life. And then in terms of like historical figures, I am really inspired by like the great like salon hosts of history, like the Gertrude Steins and like Madame de Stael and like the Medicis and like all of the hosts that like really provided like a central meeting place for their community and sparked a lot of artistic conversation and collaboration. I was hosting salons for a while. They went on like kind of monthly-ish before I stopped and was busy writing other LARPs and stuff. But yeah, I really love a structure. Like especially coming from my like emotional background, let's say, which is like incredibly socially anxious, not used to like figuring out how to interact with people at a party. And I felt like as soon as there was a structure that I could relax into, I was like having a good time. So like as long as there was an activity that I could bond with people over and I didn't have to just like go out and try to make a conversation out of thin air, um, I felt great. And so I was like, I want to create parties that are structured in that way, and the way that really helped me feel more socially comfortable. And so yeah, I feel like very, very drawn to a story arc party, and like activities that help people connect in ways that they wouldn't if they were just having a conversation. So yeah.
Did you do salons for a while before you started doing like more elaborate like LARPing or theatrical parties?
I'm trying to remember the exact ordering of events, but I think the salons sort of coincided with a lot of the initial LARP efforts. The last few years have been such a like flurry of creative activity that I don't exactly remember the order in which things happened. Like the amount of things I've hosted in the last 2 years has just been insane, especially now that I haven't hosted anything in like a long time, given that I had to move out of my apartment. It's like, whoa, what the hell was I on? Like, how did I do all of that? It seems crazy now, but yeah, I just love the idea of a salon. There's like, and this feeds into my creative like theatrical thing too. Like I just feel like very drawn to these historical periods where the arts were really blossoming and there was a renaissance, and it felt like everyone was sort of fighting each other over their idea of what good art was. And I just like, there's part of me that really wants to bring that into our world and our culture now. So I think a lot of my inspiration is like letting historical archetypes and historical moments, even if I'm romanticizing them, like letting them come through me and be brought into this era.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I think I feel inspired by very abstract things. Like hearing you both talk, I'm like, wow, that's so rooted. You know, like relative to, well, I feel like because I mean I'm like literally looking at tarot deck right now, and I'm like, I feel like things that inspire me are like kind of like a trickster energy, like I kind of like a cheeky event.
Yeah.
Um, I also think I just really enjoy uh like kind of what you were saying, Christine, about like the sensory, the sensory element. Like I think I'm really inspired by like enlivening people, but another way of saying that is like bringing out like some kind of tribal energy even
Yeah.
like getting people into their bodies, like getting people out of their heads. I feel like one of the event formats I was just thinking about, like, oh, what do I want to host next, right? It's like I feel very interested in hosting like non-talking events, like
Mm-hmm.
things where people are just doing stuff with their sounds they're making, or like
Mm-hmm.
moving in unison in different ways, or like yeah, it just feels like um underexplored, and also probably what the balance actually is, right? Like, because I feel like right now, like people are tend to be more in their heads, people tend to be more here. So it's like, I think events that can actually bring you down and into your body with other people and relating to other people and in a structured way so that people like can relax and surrender into it. I feel like that's really exciting to me and it feels very underexplored. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like I hosted a like basically a women's spirituality event on anger, and it was fully embodied. Like people didn't have to talk at all. There was a dance where they had to embody like an Indian goddess like Kali, and then there was a period where they became warriors and all they had to do was chant and follow me and like kind of do like martial arts, 101. And then like they didn't have to talk the entire time, right? But the whole thing was like 30 minutes. And I felt like, but it still felt so like alive with interaction, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
it still felt like people were relating through all of that. Um so I'm like kind of curious about that whole like um realm of like possible event host events, I guess.
I love that. I wish I'd been to one of your. I
I
want to
know.
like yeah, and that
Yeah.
sounds really fun.
I like that you brought in the piece about like the sensory element and embodiment, because I feel like that's such a huge part of event design and like what an event feels like, but you don't really
Mhm.
know that it's there until it's not.
Yeah.
Like I went to this party recently that was horrible.
Oh no.
When I walked in, the first thing I thought was like, wow, it's really clear that a woman had no role in designing this experience, because I just feel like even the least embodied woman would not design an event that was this
What was
terribly,
wrong?
like, there were inflatable pools on a concrete floor and there weren't even any pillows or anything soft inside of them. It was just a kiddie pool on a concrete floor, and it was like a huge space with very little furniture, and it just felt like a hell realm. And it was like that was when it really became clear that like, wow, people don't necessarily understand how much thought goes into designing the space of a party to be like, I don't know, create little pockets where people can have small conversations and soft things so people can
Yeah.
sit at different levels,
Totally.
and like the lighting needs to feel good, and like I don't know, it's just like you need to feel held by the environment, and that's such an important thing that often gets disregarded because it's like you don't notice it until it's not there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I remember when I first started hosting, oh yeah. So I was very nervous to host like larger parties, but one of the first things I noticed was like scent. Scent really matters. I didn't realize like I mean lighting matters even more, but like if they walk in and it smells good or it smells like that makes a big shift in tone.
Mm.
Um I feel like lighting and music are obvious, but like scent and drinks I when I host, I think a little more about the drinks than the food even because people won't always want to eat a lot because they might be nervous too. But having a drink will calm them down
Mm.
and all the things you called out, Bridget, of like, oh, having little pockets or even like verticality, like when
Mm.
you make a spread, like having a few books that then you place a candle or a wine on top, like makes like the aesthetics matter a lot in hosting like an event that feels good.
Mm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think of one of my favorite parties by people in our community is like Vibe Gala
Mm.
that Marie runs, which is the venue makes such a huge difference, which is why I loved your apartment, Bridget, because as soon as
Right.
I walked in the first time, I was like, this is just it, the air just like it flows, it's easy to like walk through. There's like natural little, spaces to congregate. So half of the time, I think if you have a really nice venue, like most of it is done for you. But yeah, I
Yeah, I
hear
really
you.
like scent. I actually feel like I haven't played around with that myself.
Hmm.
I'm curious how you pull it off. Like, do you just have like something on the stove? Like, this is just,
I
I
made the
don't know.
potpourri
Like,
thing for the threshold party, like the fall scented potpourri on the stove.
Yeah. Oh, and also like anticipation, right? Like as they walk up, there's like little signs of a party happening or the invitation. I think about the invitation as like there's a lot of like foreplay for a party. How do I do scent? I don't do it like too intensely, but I do think about it. I'm like, oh, does
um,
it smell bad? For example. That would be like,
Like, do we need to take the trash out or something?
yeah. If you're cooking, it's natural. Or like put a candle on or, I personally think a lot about like um not just scent, but like what is so for me, a lot of part of my inspiration is having like a single image in my mind. It's like a card. And it's almost like I am creating a film. And what is the film poster, right? So like Midsummer, it's like, oh, it's white and flowers and long dresses, and there's such an aesthetic to it, right? So it's like, or like if you think about like brand design, you can have like little like color palette, the cameras. But like it's almost like, oh, what are the elements? Like, are we doing metal and ice and like, or are we doing like darkness, drippy wax? Like, um, is it more like a daytime scenario and we have a lot of like water and glass and wood and it's very zen. So these are things that I had fun playing with. I went to like this psycho magic retreat recently, and as soon as we walk in, it was a pretty big like tented room, and there are these like white curtains draped. So you walk in and you don't see anything, but you hear this lovely music coming from behind the curtains, and it's very hushed, and you were told to wear all black. Everyone's wearing all black and they walk in, it's totally quiet. You like see the curtains and you walk through and there's like another row of curtains and it's all white. And then there's like a circle of chairs and those were all the afforded and the instructor is like in the main chair. And so it was just very clear to like be quiet and be somewhat reverent and sit down and just um that was how class started. So yeah.
that's really
Incredible.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I really like this whole thing of setting the tone. Um, so I feel like the basic ways I've done that is obviously like I'm like obsessed with like writing particle descriptions. Like I feel like that's a medium, that's a separate medium
Yeah.
for me. I love also just making like a very unique image for the particle because I feel like it is just like one extra step, but I really do feel like people notice it. Like I've gotten compliments on like now I have Midjourney, so I have like Midjourney image, and because I think that's just the easiest way to convey the movie in your mind to
Hmm.
like uh to your guests, right? Beyond creating a Pinterest board, but like just having the image be like this is the thing I'm creating, like come and create it with me.
Yeah.
I feel like is really nice. I'm also like into like thinking about the first 10 or 15 minutes of
Mm-hmm.
someone's like, experience at the party.
Hmm.
Um and I feel like it'll be different based on the party. But like, you know, for example, the party that we hosted, the Threshold, we
Yeah.
had like everyone go through a collective like ritual basically, crossing the threshold. Um But I feel like for other kinds of parties where like it's more casual and I'm just trying to get people to meet each other, um, I feel like I'm actually curious about what you guys do, but like I think about how can people like meet each other most organically, and how can you
Mhm.
avoid awkward clumps of like people just talking to people they know until like the event starts. And so I feel like I'm always on the lookout for how to structure the space, like where to place the food, maybe having like an initial activity, um, or just like starting on time even. So
Starting on time, you said?
yeah. Yeah, just starting on time, because
What do
then
you
it's like,
mean?
oh, really? Like I feel like sometimes I'm like I make it really clear like, hey, the container is starting at like 7:30.
Oh,
And
okay.
like, if you're not there, like it's starting with or without you, and
Hmm.
like if you can't make it like on time, like just, try not to like just catch my next event. So it just depends. Like so sometimes it's just important to be like, okay, everyone's here, start, and like it's like programming continues.
Uh,
Yeah, I feel like I haven't used a ton of intentional icebreaker activities in my events unless it's like one of the parties like the pool party, or I did the extreme awkwardness party where it was like I was structuring the entire 3 hour event, and there was like a separate room that you could go into where if you just wanted to hang out and vibe, but I wasn't managing that at all. It was like I'm in the basement running this like event that I have every activity laid out in detail, and I'm explaining the rules, and then people are doing them. Um, and I feel like that's the kind of icebreaker that I've most often used, where it's just like an activity we're doing together and everyone is getting to know each other through these little games, and then afterward they can talk about, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, or whatever. Yeah, I feel like that's a great way to connect, because I always find it awkward to small talk at a party, but yeah.
I think, okay. I think what I do, I'm also curious how you guys like interrupt everyone to start an activity. Now I'm just like curious about your hosting tips and tricks. But what I do is also, yeah, also I have a hard time writing party fools. Like I feel like I'm very straightforward, and so I feel like sometimes I've hosted with Bridget, and then like I'll write my thing, and then you'll like edit it, and it's like way more like structured, has way more storytelling. But yeah, what I think about is more like, oh, the anticipation. So there is like the invite is a big part of that, like how you invite someone, the dress code, like how are they meant to dress? And then they'll be thinking about that, and then they show up, and it's like, what is like the like walking up? What does walking up feel like?
Mm.
Are there little petals? Are there lights? Like usually it's fun when the visibility is obscured. So you're like, oh, like I'm walking into the party, but I can't quite see. But then once they're at the party, I do pretty much the same thing every time, which is like I welcome them warmly, and then I pretty much immediately start bringing them into the space. It's like a little tour. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of like orient in the space. And it's also similar to what I do at a party anyways. I like walk into the party and I walk around to like orient. And then I give them a drink, and then I introduce them to a friend of mine that I'm like, oh, you might meet that person, and you guys should chat, and then I leave to do my duties. But like I feel like this is just like a regular thing now where I'm like, oh, they look visibly more relaxed when you give them a drink for some reason. A tour is nice because it's like you have somewhere to go, and then you kind of like drop them with someone to chat with, and it's like I don't know, but I didn't even realize I had this formula in my head, but it feels like this is what I do.
This is really helpful to hear, because I feel like
Yes.
I don't do that full arc. Like I do greet them warmly, but then I kind of like I don't necessarily throw them to the wolves, but I don't have like a highly structured like way of getting them to feel acclimated. But I can totally see how that would be really helpful. So I feel like
Yeah.
I've learned something for my own future hosting. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning from you guys. I'm curious, even like the invitation part. I'm like, how are you guys crafting these invites?
I feel like that for me, the invite is always like it follows a certain structure. Like if you look at my old partyfuls and I tell you what I've done, it's like you're gonna see what's happening. Like it's like
Mm,
one sentence that's like quite dramatic as like an introduction, and then it describes like the practical details of like what you need to know about this party, and then it closes with like a little mysterious question or like
mm,
something to keep in mind or like just a little ending like sparkle that
Well,
makes it so that it doesn't end on logistical stuff.
right.
Yeah.
that's so I didn't have that. Like, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I like paint. It feels like just writing a little vignette. Like I
Mm.
feel like particle descriptions are in vignettes.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like I think the first line is usually something that's like pulling at a desire or
Mhm.
like there's an emotion
Yeah.
in the first sentence. Um, be it like, stoking their curiosity or like being like, tapping into like a desire, like a latent desire to feel rage or maybe to play if that's what the party's about. So I think there's like something, it's a hook, right? I mean, it's a hook. I didn't make it up. So, but yeah, something that just like really draws them in. And then like, I think there's a little bit of story
Mhm.
building. And then,
Yeah.
but then the story's unfinished because like it didn't happen. So I think that's where like the mysterious
Yeah.
Mhm.
sentence can like fit in. Um, so that's
How do
usually kind of how
you hold the container when you talk about these like tapping into latent rage or like leading girls in a big warrior ritual? Like,
yeah. How do I hold it? I actually think that holding the container, a lot of that comes down to designing it well.
hmm.
Um, because I think that if you design the container pretty, like mostly, okay or mostly well, um, it should usually guide someone on a safe arc or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or like on an arc that feel like helps them feel complete.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for example, for the warrior arc, they didn't start angry. They started as like maidens in a beautiful heavenly forest.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so they're all like beautiful, like, god, like basically goddesses, right? Like goddesses,
Mhm.
deities, like they're braiding each other's hair. And me and my sister trained in like classical Indian dance, so we were like showing them all these like beautiful like motifs. They're following us. And then in the story of the event, like basically like demons start pouring into their garden, right? And kind of ruining their garden. And so thus they're being called in the story to be like, you must protect your home because who else will? Um,
Wow.
um so I feel like the story did a lot of the holding there because like they knew their purpose, they knew who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and these were kind of like now their friends or their sisters, and
Yeah.
so they had a very clear mission to protect. And so I think it's like people are familiar with this narrative already, like they've seen it somewhere else. Um, and then I think beyond that, each of the activities had like contributed to the narrative arc as well. So it's like you're training to be a warrior, then you're going to the battlefield, and then like the final scene where you like see your garden like empty of demons basically. So that's kind of how I thought through that for the most part. Yeah.
And do you have to like interject throughout the ritual to be like, and now this is happening? Like,
No, it kind of feels like being a show. It kind of just feels like narrating. Like you're kind of just
mm,
the narrator of what's
okay,
going
gotcha.
on. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's worked in like other types of events too. It's um like you don't need to break immersion, just like that's who they are for like the time being. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know, Bridget, have you had to um like because I'm sure you think that these things through too, like the emotional arc and stuff, and like do you do things to like safely contain emotions, or do you, I don't know, I'm curious if you think about that.
Yeah, it's a big topic, so let's see what comes out in this short amount of time. But I guess I was just something you said reminded me of like something from my clown training that has really stuck with me in somewhat of an unconscious way, but I realized how much I actually implemented in many things that I create, which is like this framework that goes something like it's like a couple phases. So first is present yourself, next is bring me into your world, then transform me, then leave me with a new awareness, or bring
Wow,
me back with a new awareness.
that's
So
good.
I kind of think about this. I don't actively think about how do I fit this into the framework, but it definitely influences my party creation or event creation structure. Because I'm like, present yourself is the party full, like how you send out the invite and how you message it and the aesthetic that you're creating with that. And then the party itself is bring me into your world. And it's like thinking about the details of how the party feels and what people are gonna feel like when they're there, or what parts of the space they might gravitate towards. And then I personally really love the transformative element because I like
Yeah.
tapping into like deep dark emotions and making people like experience and use different parts of themselves. Or like with the birds and the bees thing, it was like the head, heart, and gut structure.
Yeah.
So I really like working in like archetypal like frameworks into my events and like just certain yeah, I like groups of threes and fives, I guess. And and then yeah, then bring me back with a new awareness. So it's like how do you close the container? I feel like that's honestly
Mhm.
something that I could work on a bit better because it's hard when you don't have like a set end point to like have everyone close together, but
Mhm.
there could be some way of like leaving people with something that helps them feel like their experience was complete. But in general, for like the awkwardness party or something, we had like lighter activities at the end to kind of provide an off ramp from the more intense ones that were happening earlier in the night. And yeah, I kind of think about it as like, that structure.
Right.
Yeah.
I love like and when I think about like party structure, I always leave a little space for like late night. Everyone's like kind of lounging around. They've been partying. There's like kind of like a relaxed atmosphere. It's like
Hmm.
after all the loud music, it's like dying down. And I feel like there's so much magic that happens in that moment.
Hmm.
I feel like it was either Threshold or Birds and Bees. I feel like okay. So basically when I think about the party structure, that I always leave like the late night spot as like something's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen, but like something will happen. And one time it was like a spontaneous choir, and the other time it
Oh,
was a piano concert. Like
oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
another time it was like a drunken poetry reading. Like these are the types of things that come up. There's like everyone's sort of
Oh,
falling apart in a in a nice way together. And I love seeing what happens at that moment. It's like my favorite time of night anyways, alone. But like at a party, I really enjoy that. And then I think the music, I set the playlist to call to chill out. And people, I love how people like having people help clean up.
It's such
Because
a
then the
hack.
whole space is cleaned and our community is awesome and they do help clean. So I think like there's a little bit of like a cleaning like rally that can also happen, but I also don't recommend making it abrupt. Like, okay, everyone, because they're in that relaxed late night vibe, we should just slowly transition into the cleanup and then everyone kind of leaves. But I've also run this one collective dream ritual that was more like time boxed. Because everyone was coming through, and at the end of their ritual, we gave them a little token. It was like, oh, now you get a little stone. You can put it in your hand and take it with you to go. And that felt like a nice thing for them to hold on to.
That's great.
Yeah.
On the note of like holding the container, something else that popped into my head was like I really tend to like parties where there's a very strong sense of what is going to happen and a feeling that the host is sort of committed to doing that. And it's
Mm,
not just like, oh, we could do this or we could do that or maybe whatever happens. Like, I think there is a part of the night, like what you were talking about, like at the end to leave space
yeah.
for that. But I really like it when it's like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and then you can just hang out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that's even better because people have kind of been like put through something, like they've had an experience and then now they can talk about it or whatever it brought up and then it's like people are more relaxed after they've like had to do a more intense thing and then the energy kind of like drops down and then they
Yeah.
can just flow.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I also curious in general. Like I feel like most of my parties, like the ones that like I host at night aren't very structured. Like I
Mm.
typically do kind of like a theme, and people come and mingle. Um, what are your thoughts on programming? Like at night, especially, because I feel like at night people just want to hang. That's just my feeling. Not that I have any problem, creating activities, but do you guys ever think about like over programming and like versus just letting people hang?
I think
I mean,
I'm
I'm always down to create like a transformative experience, but I'm also like people just want to hang out, right? So
I'm on the extreme end of like I
yeah,
always want programming and
yeah, yeah.
activities. Like this thing that I always say is like I hate parties and I don't want to like I yeah I
At
obviously
the end of at this like three, oh my God, watch
yeah
until 45 minutes to hear Bridget.
yeah
Okay.
but like honestly for me there are enough normal parties and normal hangouts that I'm just like, that's not my thing. Like, it's just not. And whenever I try, I'm like, well, that was a party, and I feel like no different than when it started, and I'm kind of like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like I get all that much out of attending or hosting normal parties. Like, I feel like I have so much more energy when there's programming because I know that I have a structure to relax into. And when it's a normal party, unless there's like a really close friend there that I want to talk to, like my social battery for meeting new people is extremely low. Like I feel like I can kind of meet like two new people in a night before I'm like I'm done. So that's just my own like emotional energy, how it moves.
Mm,
But if I'm doing activities and there's new people and we're like looking out at the thing rather than looking at each other and trying to get to know each other, I'm like I can meet a bunch of people because it's just like it's less pressure to me. Um, so yeah, I honestly still struggle with normal parties and I prefer there to be some kind of structure unless I'm just in a really good mood that day, like
mm,
and I have more energy. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I do a mix. I like the normal party because if I have good friends, it's perfectly fine. Uh, but I also definitely hear you on like being really tired of normal parties and like feeling totally like I could have not gone to the party and nothing would have changed in my life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I feel like Pav, you've hosted some really interesting parties that I heard about through others around like, oh, like you read the article and half the room like tweets and the other half like talks about it. I love like the article like parties where there is like some idea being discussed
mm,
and like chewed over. Yeah, I think like there to me there's sort of like this range of things you can do in terms of programming. The yeah, I think salons are a good example of something that's like more intellectual or like I love like created this like article club where like you read part of this book or this essay and then you discussed it together and that felt really fruitful. But I feel like my parties tend to be so okay, I have formulas now. One formula is like and even they're most like they're both nighttime, but one is like a narrative arc, like very much like we're just saying, and it's like potluck, which is like you enter and you drink and you mingle, and then there's like a beginning, middle, and end, and like the middle there's like a climax, and it's like you're brought through an experience and it's kind of intense, right? And at the end, usually it's somewhat condensed. Like it's not the full night. It's like max 1 hour, and sometimes there's fun things involved. And so then by the end, like you're relaxed and there's DJ playing and there's music, and that's like the majority of the party. So like people only have to suffer through the intense part for like a short period of time. Usually they really enjoy it. People who don't want to do it can just be in the kitchen, like they don't have to be involved. And then the other structure I usually think about, this is like what Vibe Gala, or I guess like even Vibe Camp, it's like um there's just things happening in different pockets, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're having a night, but then there's like a thing happening over there and a thing happening over there, and you can join if you want. And I like that too because people have interesting things to experience and talk about together. Um, but it doesn't mean like their night has been seized by like this programming that they have to do because everyone's doing it. Because some people don't want to. So
Yeah, I definitely like that point. Like I always try to make it a point to have like a space that is like activity free for people that just want to talk and hang out and don't want to be part of the structured thing. But also like for example, I hosted the extreme awkwardness party and talked about in the party full description, like this will be intense. We're channeling awkwardness. Like I kind of feel like if you show up to that party and you're like, I don't want to do the activities, it's like, why did you come? That's clearly in the event
yeah.
description. Like there is still an option to just hang out, but it's not really what the event is for.
Mhm.
But it depends on the event.
And I think it is like up to you as a host to be like, hey, this is what this is about. Like, don't come if you don't want to participate. Like, up to you. But
But I also, yeah, and I think a lot of people actually are really hungering for the structure and the activities. Like after I've done those kinds of parties, like I've gotten so much feedback that people really loved that and felt like they could be more themselves or just more relaxed and connect with people differently. Like I feel like it's really a hack, and I would love for there to be more structured parties. It's like I don't want to be the only one doing this. Not that I am, but I am hosting the kind of event I wish there to be more of. Although I haven't actually done that kind of thing exactly in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing this from you guys because I feel newly emboldened to host structured parties. I felt like kind of like socialized out of it or something, but like no, I will reclaim the Friday 8 p.m. for my psychological yet aesthetic parties
yeah.
responsibly.
I'll
That
be
is what's gonna happen.
And it's
I
fun. It's
Yeah,
not like
it's fun. I
class,
think
right?
so.
It's
Yeah.
like we are entering a different realm together. So I feel like that can be really welcomed.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you get burnt out, Bridget, from hosting all these
Yeah.
elaborate parties?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely been a theme of my year, like especially after last December when we hosted the second run of Solus, our like very elaborate LARP. Um I went to yeah, I basically was like I don't know when I'll host again, or like I really need to pare down to only the things that I feel very excited about. So like
Yeah.
we did host something together, like the going away party for the
Yeah.
house. And that was good. That felt like really connected for me. I felt like I really wanted to do that. Um, but I definitely overextended myself last year in particular by just saying yes to host way too many things. And
Mhm.
I am now definitely like my arc for this year is like learning to, well, now I can't host because I don't have a space to host in. So I'm being forced to pare down against my will. But yeah, it's like it's certainly using more discernment about what I want to put my energy to, because
You
it's
could
such a huge
host in Bebop. I would be into
yeah.
that. overlap. Yeah.
I could do that. It's just not quite the same. I know I keep
Yeah,
saying that like it's not the same, but it really isn't.
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Do you get burnt out at all, Pav?
Yeah, I didn't get burnt out from event hosting, but I did pare down on event hosting this year as well for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I felt more like I needed a creative pause in
Mm-hmm.
general versus like events specifically were not my jam.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely feel like hosting events is like, even if it's like a chill event, I still feel like you're taking like it is like energy, like it is energy, it is responsibility.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a one-off thing, and like yeah, like Bridget, I was like just waiting for like the natural like desire. Like I just
Yeah.
was like trying to wait for the desire first.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the first desire I felt was for my birthday party, which I
Mm-hmm.
just threw. But I'm it's coming back again for me as for sure. Like event ideas are now popping into my head, which I'm like, oh, okay, that hasn't happened for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm also curious about like kind of hosting different kinds of events. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I want to host like I feel like the next frontier for me is like multi-day events. Like I want to host
Um,
like a weekend thing. I want to host like and also just like subverting what an event needs to be. Like I went to this awesome event last year um w called Walk the Internet. Um and it was hosted by these like two people that host like walking tours of New York City. And this specific one, they had this like really like knowledgeable internet researcher who basically just took us through a tour of FiDi, but then showed us all of the physical signs of the internet. So it's
oh
like,
wow.
yeah, it was like really interesting. Like all these markings on the road that show you like where the Ethernet cables are running underneath, like infrastructure that's up and around the city. And so like it was like a really chill like 3 hours, and like I feel like a lot of people made a lot of friends because you're just like talking for 5 minutes in between or 10 minutes in between
Mm-hmm.
stops. So I like just like yeah, maybe hosting events that are kind of like maybe atypical format. Like I was inspired by that format, and I was like, okay, I can only do something like that. So yeah, just trying to maybe like host in different formats feels exciting. Next,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah. Maybe we can. Sorry?
oh, I was gonna ask you about your experience with burnout. If you
Yeah,
want.
definitely. For me, that definitely
Yeah.
comes up. But I also maybe we can like start to wrap because I know we were definitely over what we said. On we can wrap on like things that we're excited about maybe for
Yeah.
like future things. One thing that was kind of in the air was like, let's go like run into the
Oh
woods
yeah.
and like dance under the moon in like you know
Sounds
Hallucinian,
amazing.
Hallucinian like mysteries kind of
Oh.
ritual, like I feel like that needs to happen. That's obviously the way to party. Like you run off with and you like dance around the bonfire and you cavort and you're like and I want this to happen. I think that it could happen in New York City and it could be like multi-day is okay, multi-day is a little intimidating to me if it's like an overnight
Hmm.
Mm,
event.
yeah.
I tend to think like, oh, like a weekend
Hmm.
conference,
Hmm.
that seems easier. Um, I think like, yeah, uh, if you just want to make scaffolding, like I feel like the unconference format is really nice. It's like everyone come here and do your own thing, Um, but yeah, those are the two things. I think in terms of like thing that has piqued my curiosity, it's been like, oh, should we get like a group of 25 people that we really like and go like, drop acid in the woods or I don't know. Like but like in a beautiful and designed container that creates collective
Right.
transformation and, you know, yeah.
But yeah, I've
We've always
obviously
done
been inspired
it.
by the idea of the like Dionysian Bacchanal like
Yeah.
This is my year. This is my Dionysian year. I'm just gonna say that
oh
on the record.
cool. That's it's great because I had the idea for the Bacchanal like a long time ago, but I think I was like not quite bold enough to make it happen for real. Like I had that idea at the second Jess camp.
Mm.
Because we were in the middle of the Black Forest and I was like, we need to go out into the woods and do something.
Yes.
But I was like, I was very, very still shy and not bold at that point, so I didn't like initiate it. But now that I've done like improvised rituals at Jess Camp that are incredibly popular for reasons that vary widely. And I was like, well, maybe we should get away from the framing of those rituals and do like something more intentional and like Dionysian and like
Uh,
I just like the idea of like a bacchanal and when you guys brought up the idea of the Eleusinian mysteries, I was like, oh my God, put me in. Like I'm
yes.
so glad you asked. Like this is exactly the kind of thing that I want to try to create. So I feel excited about those things too. And then I would say the third thing that I feel very interested in at the moment is like how to make these like theatrical highly produced events more financially sustainable. Like it's a big question in hosting because like in the historical past it would usually be like a rich person that's just like can afford to buy like wine and snacks for everyone, and like none of us are really in that place at the moment. So it's like but then you also don't want to like charge your friend for like just a random party. And it feels kind of bad, but you also want the contribution and to feel like you're getting some energy back
Mm.
from that.
Yeah.
So I'm like working on a format of like a LARP plus party where it's like most people who attend it are like paying a small cover fee to get in, and their experience is of like a highly immersive party, like a little microcosm of a world. The one that I'm creating now is set in like a Victorian opium den. Um, but
Amazing.
then a smaller number of people at the party are doing a more intense LARP, and they're
Mm.
sort of paying to have a more transformative, personalized experience with like a backstory, and they're putting in more as well because they're the main characters that other people are aware of and are observing. So that's currently where I'm at, like charging people a small cover fee plus charging a small number of people more money, and then kind of making it a repeatable event. So that it's more sustainable. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
That's a cool format. That sounds exciting. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I feel like and if I feel like that's the kind of thing you could host in New York City. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
super cool. Yeah. Um, yeah, I feel like other than the ones I mentioned, I'm really interested in hosting more psychological and like archetypal type events. Like the one that popped into my mind the other day was like something around like the golden shadow. Like
Mm.
people have this aspect of themselves that they don't claim that's like positive. And I'm
Oh.
like, whoa, there's something there.
Whoa.
There's something there. Like in and also I feel like you don't need to know someone that well to I think see their golden shadow or even their shadow. Like you don't, you know. So I'm like I feel like there might be some kind of activity or party or game that could like facilitate that. Um so yeah, just things along that or and playing with also just like the language free connection like music and
Mm-hmm.
um like Misha Gluberman has a bunch of like musical like improv stuff that I'm like kind of interested in maybe bringing to New York or playing around with. So those are some of my other things. We'll see.
I feel
But
more excited talking to you guys. I'm like, oh, like
wait, what did you say, Christine? I totally didn't hear you.
I said I feel more I can like feel the excitement because I've been talking with you guys. So I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I know. I'm getting more excited.
I'm more excited and more sad because I don't have a space. Well, I do, but I don't. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like
I feel like you could ask. I don't know. I wouldn't.
I know,
I
I
think
know.
you're one question away from having a space.
I
Just
know. I'm letting myself be limited because I really like hosting at my own house.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like I'm so familiar with it. I know what equipment we have. Like I know what I need to buy and like where the
Yeah.
decorations can go, and I can start decorating like in advance because I live here, and I just really like it being in my house. I
Yeah.
know that's like it's like an unrealistic thing to necessarily require to host something. Um, but yeah, I could probably loosen my restrictions around that a little bit.
That would be a tough restriction to keep, Bridget, I would say. That house. It was a nice house, so
I am excited for your next spot,
yeah.
Me too.
wherever that is.
Excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
thank you guys so much for coming on. This was really fun. I feel like we definitely could have kept chatting for longer, but it's
Mhm.
late.
It is
Yeah,
late.
thanks so much for initiating this and, bringing us in.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christine.
All right, cool.
Yay.
I'll
See you,
see you
Bridget.
guys.
Bye. See you guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye, Christine.